Really into this fight, Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw, and the closer this fight gets, the more I start to like it for multiple different reasons. That's me. You guys could join me in that or not, but I happen to like that fight. But here's the thing. Henry Cejudo came out and said, if I beat TJ Dillashaw, I'm the greatest of all time. And, people were so upset. Now, we do tend to throw that title around a little bit loosely, don't we? And we've got every right to do it because it's fake as can be. Whoever first came out with this and how they gained any ground and any legs by anointing a title of greatest of all time, which can never be proved or won, is just like the guy sitting around talking about who would win between Batman versus Superman. It is ridiculous, and there's so many different possible integers that you could never deduce a tangible answer. But let's play along for just a minute, because I noticed that Cejudo got teased for saying it. I will tell you guys this, TJ Dillashaw is as good as any fighter I have ever seen. And we tend to anoint people that either have a long history and a very longevity, such as George St. Pierre, where they prove their greatness to us, night after night after night, weeks into the months, into the years, into a decade plus, and they simply amass so many records that you cannot help but to concede that there was something special there. Or we do that for somebody who is very dynamic, who brings in a skill set that we have not seen before. By example, Khabib Nurmagomedov, who's as rough and tumble as they come, who has only lost one fight in his entire career, who took out handily by finish after having a 10-8 round, but then ultimately strangled the guy who was said to be the greatest of all time in Conor McGregor. Khabib is not even in the conversation. He's not even in the conversation. He's 26-0. He is a world champion who has defended the title, who has only lost one round. But he's not dynamic. He's straightforward, blue-collar, workman style, in your face, no big surprises, and for reasons that I could not articulate or explain for you, he then loses the appeal of the people that choose to have the greatest of all time conversation. You look at somebody like Daniel Cormier, who's also guilty of it, but then gets into the conversation because of all of his accomplishments. You'd look at somebody like John Jones, who was ultra dynamic, or somebody like Anderson Silva, in fairness, who is ultra dynamic, who'll beat you with his feet, he'll beat you with your hands, he'll beat you with his elbows, his knees, he'll beat you with the wrestling if you give him a chance. And they seem to move further and faster up the list. But when you're taking a look at that, and you take a look at who was officially named the pound-for-pound great. Now, what does it mean to be officially named? It means you get the highest publication to actually take it to print. Now, you guys can see the problems with that theory, and you can debate it all you want, and I will share that sentiment with you. However, that is what becomes official. The highest publication to actually write those names down and put a number next to them is who becomes official, and the official was Demetrius Johnson. That's that. Cejudo beat him. If Cejudo was to then get the jump on TJ Dillashaw, yeah, he's got an argument. He would lose out on the other side of that, which is the longevity. He would lose out on that. That's something he could make up over time. But if you were to just look for skills and moves and wins, if he takes out 2 world champions in a row, and it doesn't matter whose world championship's on the line, TJ Dillashaw will get into that ring as a sitting world champion. It's got to mean something. And you guys may not agree with it, but for anybody to come out and tease and naysay Cejudo, that's just not fair. He would have his argument. Absolutely he would. And I just like that fight. I like the fight for this reason, and it's as a wrestler. Henry Cejudo, who is an Olympic champion, the best freestyle wrestler out there, is taking on TJ Dillashaw, who I believe, as a wrestler, I believe to be the best MMA wrestler out there. TJ Dillashaw is doing moves, he is doing setups, and he is using techniques that nobody else is. Some of them don't have names. Some of them he and his coaches have made up. And it is a very special form of wrestling. So I am just compelled to see this fight. Am I right in my analysis that TJ Dillashaw is the best MMA wrestler out there right now? Am I wrong in my analysis? And Henry Cejudo's freestyle wrestling and Olympic gold glory is enough to beat him out? I don't know. I saw one match like this that I was excited for, and it got brought to a short end, and I still resent that as a fan. I was there live. It was Ronda Rousey versus Sarah McMahon, the judo medalist versus the freestyle medalist. And the one time they locked up, Ronda threw a knee to the liver, and Sarah McMahon went down and the fight was over. But I wanted to see more minutes of them locked up. I wanted to see how the judo medalist would do against the freestyle mess, and I think that just brings out the authenticity of the sport that got me involved in the first place, which was mixed martial arts. How would the karate black belt do against the taekwondo black belt? And I wanted to see that. And I really do feel that this is a battle for everything else. And I think there's a few storylines going into this fight, but I do think that it is a battle, at least for me, of what is better. Henry Freestyle's freestyle wrestling, which is proven, absolutely proven through the form of a gold medal, or TJ Dillashaw's MMA wrestling, which is absolutely proven through the form of a gold belt. I don't know that answer. I don't know. I think if you put him in there right now, I think that Dillashaw is going to surprise Henry. But I could also remind you that Demetrius Johnson in the wrestling MMA department greatly surprised Henry. Henry learned from it. Henry made adjustments, and he wasn't surprised twice. So it's a different and better Henry Cejudo. It is. He is a guy that continues to improve, but the same can be said for Dillashaw. And then you look at the weight. How is that weight cut going to do for Dillashaw? Is the cut going to be okay? Is it going to be significant? He's known about it for a long time. He tried to get this fight a long time ago. I know he will do it responsibly. Will it make him even faster, even more dynamic? Will it wear on him and shut some of his injury down?